Yes, good morning. We are going to learn in this class about asynchronous serial transfer. Okay, so here, asynchronous serial transfer. Let's see what is the serial transfer. The transfer of data can be done parallelly or serially. Okay, parallelly means all the bits are transmitted at the same time. Okay, parallelly. And serial transmission is one after the other. Okay, so here parallel data transmission. Okay, what is this parallel data transmission? Each bit of the message in parallel data transmission, each bit of the message has its own path. Okay, and the total message is transmitted at the same time. Okay, there is a sender here and receiver here. There are some 4 bits of data. Okay, the 4 bits of message need to be transmitted from the sender to the receiver. So how these bits are transmitted parallelly? All these bits are yes, each bit has its own path. The first bit, second bit, third bit, fourth bit. Each bit of the data takes its own path. The first bit has its own path, second bit has its own path, okay, third and fourth. So this way the data is transmitted parallelly. Okay, so when we transmit it this way, parallelly all the bits, the total message is transmitted at the same time. Correct? The total message can be transmitted from the sender to receiver at the same time. And this results in faster transmission of data. As the entire message is transmitted at the same time, the bits are transmitted parallelly. The transmission here would be faster and it requires many wires. Okay, why we need many wires? Each bit takes its own path. Okay, so we need many wires to get this parallel connection between the sender and the receiver. So this is expensive. And when this parallel transmission is used, is when the distance is shorter and the speed is more important. Okay, here this as the bits are transmitted parallelly, it can be transmitted faster. The transmission speed is good compared to other type of transmission. So when speed is more important, when the transmission need to be done faster and the distance is short, as we need many wires to connect, have this connection, and it is expensive. It is used for shorter distances. And the second is serial data transmission. Okay, in the serial data transmission, bits are transmitted in a single path. Okay, this is parallel. And in serial transmission, we have the center and there is a no single path between the center and the receiver. All the bits are transmitted in the single path. So how it is done? The bits cannot be sent parallelly here. Okay, as we have a single path, the bits need to be transmitted one after the other. Okay, so each bit is sent in sequence, one at a time. Okay, one bit at a time. And so the bits are sent in sequence, one after the other. The transmission is slower. Okay, in parallel transmission, it is faster, but in serial, the transmission is slower here. So for this single path between the sender and the receiver, okay, we need a pair of conductors or a conductor and a common ground. Okay, this is what is needed. A pair of conductors are enough, and or a conductor with a common ground. But here in parallel transmission, we need many wires because each bit takes its own path. And here, compared to parallel transmission, serial transmission is less expensive. So it can be used for long distances. Okay, as it is less expensive, serial transmissions are used for long distances where speed is not important. Okay, when the transmission need to be finished faster, parallel transmission is used. And when speed is not important and the distance is long, serial data transmission is preferred. So this is about serial data transmission. Okay, we are learning in this about asynchronous serial transfer. Okay, so you have understood what is serial, and okay, what does this word mean? Asynchronous. Synchronous transmission is the two units share a common clock frequency. Okay, the units are synchronized, means the two units that participate in the transmission of data share a common clock. Okay, so when the common clock is shared, okay, the same clock pulse that is used to time the data transfer. Okay, so the two units share a common clock frequency. Clock frequency is the rate at which the clock pulses are generated. These clock pulses are used to synchronize the operations of the two units. Or we can define this as clock cycles per second. Okay, what is a clock cycle? One high and low. Okay, this is one cycle, right? Number of cycles per second. Okay, that is clock frequency. And this is same. Okay, here for both the units, the clock frequency is same. Both the units in synchronous transmission. The two units share a common clock frequency. And bits are transmitted continuously at the rate dictated by the clock pulses. Okay, as both the units are synchronized by the same clock. Okay, once the transmission start, the units are synchronized and the sender keeps sending the data bits and the receiver keep receiving. Okay, it is done in the same speed that are controlled by the same clock. So this is synchronous transmission. Asynchronous transmission is the two units do not share a common clock frequency. Each unit have their own clock. The operations are performed using their own clock. So there is no synchronization. So we call it as asynchronous transmission. And binary information is sent. It is not in the earlier synchronous, it is transmitted continuously. Okay, but here it is sent only when it is available. Okay, when the sender has the data to send, okay, it places the data. And the line remains idle when there is no information to be transmitted. Okay, so in this asynchronous transmission, we have learned that there are some controls like strobe control and handshaking are used. Okay, in this case, asynchronous serial transfer for when the data are transmitted serially, one after the other, and the units do not use a common clock. They are not synchronized with a common clock. So when the sender places the data, right, the receiver need to be informed about the data, availability of data. Okay, so here in this asynchronous serial transmission, special bits are inserted at both ends of the character code. Okay, we have a single path, right? Bits are transmitted in a single path. Okay, and when there is a transmission, when the data is being transmitted, okay, some special bits are inserted that informs the receiver about the data, okay, arrival of data. Okay, so here each character consists of 3 parts. The special bits here are the start bit and the stop bit. Okay, there are there is a start bit inserted with the character bit and the stop bit. Okay, so the character finally will have, when the character is transmitted, it will have a start bit, character bits. This is the actual data. Okay, character bits are the data. This is what the sender want to send to the receiver. Okay, and this character bits are added with the start bit and the stop bit. The start bit, what is the start bit? It is always 0. That indicates the beginning of a character. Okay, and stop bit is always 1. Okay, indicating the end of the character. Okay, so when the sender needs to send some character bits, okay, the data that is denoted here as character bits. When the sender wants to send the data to the receiver, the start bit and stop bit are added to the data bits. Start bit is always 0, indicating the beginning of the character, and stop bit is always 1. Okay, to indicate the end, stop bit is added at the end. Okay, so here the special bits are inserted at both the ends of the data. So how this transmission is done? Here, the line stays in one state. Okay, initially this is the transmission line. It stays in one state because the start bit is 0. Correct? Okay, we have seen that the start bit is added. The character need to have the start bit and the character bits, and then comes the stop bit. And the start bit is 0 and stop bit is 1. And the character bits can be 0 or 1. Okay, it can be either, that depends on the message that is being sent. It may contain a combination of zeros and ones. Okay, so here in this, the 8-bit character is being transmitted. Okay, so the line, initially the transmission line that takes the character bits stays in one state. Okay, it is 1 high. And when the start bit, when the data arrives, okay, it is brought to low state. Okay, means 0. Okay, the 0 bit is placed. The 0 bits indicate the starting of the character. Okay, so 0 bit is placed, and then data bits are placed. Okay, here the data bits are 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. Okay, these are the character bits. And once the character bits are over, the 8 bits are over, then the stop bits. Stop bit is 1 here. Okay, so stop bit is placed in the line. So this indicates that is high. Okay, the line stays in one state. Okay, some computers may use 1 stop bit and some computers use 2 stop bits. The number of stop bits used depends on the time the computer takes to resynchronize. Okay, or you can take it as resynchronizing is getting ready for transferring the next byte. Okay, here a byte is transmitted, right? 8 bits are transmitted with the start and stop bits. And once this is over, the stop bits are placed. Okay, so that indicates the end. It may be one single one. Okay, that means the line stays in one state for a bit time or 2-bit time. Okay, so minimum of 1 bit time, the line stays in high state. That means the character is over. Okay, the character bits are over, and this is when it stays high at the end of the character bits. That is the time the units, okay, the units that are involved in the transmission take to resynchronize. And then the next bit is placed. Okay, so after this, again for the second byte, okay, the transmitter has to, the bits are transmitted continuously, and this is the first byte of the data, and the second byte has to be sent. Okay, so here that is indicated by the start bit. Okay, so here we will have a start bit 0, and then the data bits, it may be 1 or 1 zeros, okay, then depending on the data, and then okay, followed by a stop bit. Stop bit is 1, okay, to indicate the end of the character bits. This way the serial transmission is done. Okay, here in a single line, the bits are transmitted one after the other. So here the rules followed are, when a character is not being sent, the line is kept in one state. Okay, the line will stay in one state because start bit initializes the transfer of data, that is 0. So the change of the line from 1 to 0 indicates the transmission of character. Otherwise, when there is no data, it stays in one. The line stays in one state. When there is data to be transmitted, it goes to low. Okay, that is the start bit. Okay, so the transmission of the line from 1 to 0 indicates the beginning of the data. Okay, so when the character is not being sent, the line is kept in the one state. okay, high state. The initiation of a character transmission is detected from the start bit, that is always 0. The character bits always follow the start bit. After the last bit of character is transmitted, a stop bit is detected. Okay, after the last bit, here the last bit is 1. 1 is the last bit of the character. And after that, a stop bit is detected. Okay, when the line returns to one state for at least one bit time. Okay, at least for a bit time. Here the receiver, how this stop bit is identified. Okay, it is not a part of data, it is a stop bit. The receiver knows how many bits are being transmitted, okay, how many bits the sender is transmitting, and what is the rate of this transfer. Okay, all this the receiver knows. So here it is 8 bits. So after receiving this 8 bits, okay, if the line stays in 1, that indicates the end. So after the last bit of the character is transmitted, a stop bit is detected when the line returns to one state for at least one bit time. Okay, so this way the special bits are inserted at the beginning and end of the character and transmitted in asynchronous serial transmission. See here, what is baud rate? Baud rate is the data transfer rate in bits per second. Okay, the rate at which the bits are transmitted. The rate at which the bits are transmitted, okay, is defined as the baud rate. Means the data transfer rate in bits per second. Example, okay, if the transmission is done in a rate of 10 character per second and each character has 11 bit of data. Okay, 10 characters per second with 11 bit. How this 11 bits? There is a start bit. The character bits are 8. Okay, there are 8 bits in the character and there is a start bit, then 2 stop bits. Okay, if there are 2 stop bits, 1 1, the start bit is 0 and the data bits here are 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. Okay, this is the character bits and then 2 stop bits. Okay, so this is the start bit and data bits, and these two are the stop bits. So totally 11 bits are transmitted. So when the transmission speed is 10 characters per second and each character has 11 bits. Okay, so what is the baud rate? It is 110 bits per second. Okay, so the baud rate is the number of bits transmitted per second. And here we see how this asynchronous communication is done through this interface. Okay, here asynchronous communication interface is shown. And this interface acts as a transmitter and receiver. Okay, we have transmitter as well as a receiver part of the interface here in this. So let me explain the components. Okay, here let's say the CPU want to transmit data to other peripherals. Okay, so here is the CPU and here we have the IO device to which the CPU want to transmit data. So the data bus, okay, we have this data bus through which the CPU transfer data. Okay, it is bidirectional. The data can be transmitted from the CPU to the other registers, or from the other registers, it can be transmitted to the CPU. Okay, so it is bidirectional. And here this data bus carries the the data from CPU to bus buffers. And this is, here is a data bus, okay, that carries from bus buffer. Okay, buffer is to hold the data for some time temporarily. Okay, so to transmit data from this buffer to this internal bus, we have this internal bus here. Okay, the line that connects all the registers to the CPU. Okay, internal bus here is, we have several registers that are connected, okay, by this internal bus to the CPU. Okay, so here this data bus, okay, carries information from this internal buffers to, from this internal bus to the buffer, or from bus buffers to the bus, okay, to transmit to other registers. So this is a bidirectional data bus, and this internal bus I said, and here this transmitter register. Okay, this register is for the CPU to transmit data to some other unit. Okay, the source unit here is CPU and the destination may be some other unit. So for the CPU to transmit data, this register is used, okay, as a transmitter register. So CPU transmit data to this transmitter register first. And then that register, the data in the transmitter register is shifted to the other end through this shift register. Okay, shift register, it is to shift the data serially to the destination unit. Okay, this register is to shift the data serially to the destination unit. Okay, this is the transmitter part of this interface. And we have two clocks. Okay, the clock generators generate the clock signals, and this is asynchronous interface. Okay, asynchronous transfer means the two units are controlled by different clocks. Okay, their own clock. Here transmitter clock, okay, the transmitter control and clock circuit, and receiver clock, okay, receiver control and clock circuit that generate the clock pulses, and that controls the transmission. Okay, and the control register, okay, we have this control register that controls the operations by determining the mode of operation. Okay, mode of operation is determined by the control word in the control register. Okay, the control word is placed by the CPU in the control register that controls the operations. So this mode of transfer defines the baud rate, means the number of bits transmitted per second, and the total number of characters included, including the number of stop bits. Okay, stop bit can be, as I told you, it may be a single stop bit or two stop bits. So the number of stop bits added to the data, okay, all these are determined by the control byte, okay, that is stored in the control register. Okay, so for that, for controlling the operations, okay, operation of transmission, we have this control register. And the status register, okay, show the status of these registers. It shows the status register has flags, okay, that are set, okay, or reset to show the status of the transmitter register and the receiver register, okay, to the CPU when the CPU want to find the status of these registers, okay, whether the transmitter register is full, it has data already, or if the receiver register is full or empty. Okay, this way to find the status of these registers, the flags, status flags are used. And it also gives the status of any error, status of transmission, by recording the errors that occur during transmission. During transmission, there may be some errors. Okay, we will discuss what type of errors may occur. So those errors are also recorded in the status register. Okay, so by reading the status register, CPU will understand the status of the registers, and if there is any error in the operation. Okay, so that CPU can know the status of transmission by reading the data from the status register. For showing the status, we have this register here, and we have shift register here and receiver register. So when the data is being transmitted from the some other source IO device to the CPU, where CPU receives data. Okay, CPU is the destination there. And so when the data is being received, the data arrives to shift register first. Okay, this shift the data to the receiver register. These shift registers are to shift the data serially from other devices to this register, okay, the other register, okay, to this receiver register or transmitter register. Okay, so these are all the components here. An internal bus that connects all these registers to the CPU for transmission. And here we have this control signals, chip select, okay, CS. Chip select is to select the interface. Okay, so which particular interface to select, that is selected by CS. And we have other controls, RS, register select, and read, IO read and IO write. So here this register select is used in association with read and write. When a register is selected, whether it is selected for reading or writing. Okay, so it has to be, it is used with read or with write. Okay, here in among these registers, transmitter register, control, status, and receiver register, these transmitter and control register, okay, CPU writes into these registers. When there is data to be transmitted, CPU write the data in transmitter register. And when the CPU for controlling the operation, the control byte is written into the control register by the CPU. Okay, but these two registers, status register and receiver registers, register, if you see, status register, okay, to know the status of the operations, okay, CPU read the data in the status register. And receiver register also, when there is data, okay, to be received, the CPU read data from the receiver register. Okay, so these two are read registers, and these two, transmitter and control registers, are write registers. Okay, so these are selected when the register select this, these are selected in write mode. Okay, the control write is enabled here. And when the register selected as status register, the control read is enabled. Okay, so this way the selection of the registers are controlled. Okay, these are the control lines that controls the selection of registers and the mode, okay, whether it is to read or to write data. So now the operations, how the operations are done. If the CPU, let's see the transmitter part of the interface, okay, that transmits data from CPU to the other unit. Okay, when CPU want to place the data, means when the CPU want to transmit data to other unit, first it places the control byte in the control register. Okay, what for this control byte is used? It is to control the operation. To determine the mode means to define the baud rate, the speed of transmission. Okay, what is baud rate? The number of bits transmitted per second. That defines the speed of transmission. And how many bits are there in the character. Okay, how many character bits are sent, and how many start bit is always 1. Okay, 1 0 indicates the start, and stop bit can be 1. There may be 1 stop bit or 2 stop bits. So how many stop bits are used? All these are defined by the control word that is placed by the CPU in the control register. Okay, so to start the operation, first CPU place the control word in the control register, and it check for transmitting data to the transmitter register. CPU has to place the data in the transmitter register. So for that, the transmitter register need to be free. Okay, transmitter register need to be empty. So the CPU checks read the status register. Okay, to check the flag that tells if the transmitter register is free. Okay, so it checks the status flag, and if the transmitter register is empty, initially it will be empty. Okay, that flag will be 0. So if the transmitter register is empty, CPU send the data through the data bus to the transmitter register. Okay, so the data is transmitted to transmitter register. And for here we have the serial line, okay, to transmit the data to shift register and from shift register to the other unit. So here the line will go to 0, okay, the start bit. So first 0 is placed in the first bit of the shift register. That means there is data to read. So shift register read the data with the start bit as 0 and the character bits, 8 bit of characters, and the specified number of stop bits. Okay, it may be a single stop bit or 2 stop bits. Okay, so that the shift register that is stored in shift register, transmitted to shift register, and then it is transmitted to the other unit. Okay, this way the transmission is done. So this register selected as CPU select transmitter register and place the data. Okay, before that it checks the status register. If the transmitter register is free, if it is free, it transmits the data through the data bus to the register, and it is shifted serially to the shift register. Okay, adding the stop bit and start bit and stop bits. And for receiver, okay, let's now see the receiving operation of the CPU. So this here we have the receiver part of the interface. Okay, and before receiving, before that, when the data arrives from some unit, the data need to be transmitted to the shift register. Okay, so the data that start with 0, okay, when the line goes to 0 from high to low, that indicates the transmission of beginning of the data. Okay, so here the line goes to 0, that indicates the stop bit of the data, and then the bits are transmitted with the stop bits. Okay, so that is transmitted to shift register, and then shift register removes the start bit and stop bits and transmit that data to receiver register. Okay, now this serial data need to be transmitted to the receiver register. Here it has to again take the actual data format, that is 8-bit format, right? Actual data is 8-bit. Okay, and transmitter register and receiver register will have 8 bits. Okay, so here the character bits need to be taken from the data, and the shift register transmit the actual data. Okay, it removes the start and stop bits and transmit it to the receiver register. And once the data is available here, the flag here, okay, the status flag that indicates the status of the receiver register will be set. Okay, set to 1. So now CPU checks the status of this flag in the status register, okay, to see if the receiver is full. So if it is full, the data is transmitted from the receiver register to the CPU. Okay, once the data is transmitted, the flag is again set to 0. Even during transmission, okay, it is initially empty, so CPU places the data in the transmitter register. Once it is transmitted, once it is shifted to shift register, the status flag is set to 0. Okay, means the transmitter register is 0 or 1. Yeah, that indicates the indicates that the transmitter register is empty. Okay, so it is set. The flag is set to denote that the transmitter register is empty. So the CPU then transmit the next byte of data. Okay, that is shifted to the shift register. And again, the transmitter flag is set to empty. Okay, so CPU can transmit until the entire transmission of messages finished. Okay, here once one data is received, okay, one set of characters are received from the receiver register, the flag is set to empty. Okay, means it cannot receive, there is no data to receive. And the shift register receive the next byte of data, okay, next set of characters, and places it in the receiver register and set the status flag as full. Okay, receiver register full is set there, and CPU checks that and receive the data. Okay, So here we have discussed that in status register. Okay, this indicates the status of the registers, transmitter register and the receiver register. Okay, to denote if they are empty or full. Okay, for the CPU to transmit data and to receive data. And in addition to that, it also shows the status of error conditions. Okay, error that occur during transmission. There are three possible errors that can occur during transmission. The three possible errors are in status register. Okay, it can record three possible errors. First one is parity error. Parity error is, we have already learned, right, for detection of errors during transmission. Okay, error means if the data is transmitted as 011, it has to be received as 011, not as 010. Okay, here means this bit is changed. Instead of 1, it has been changed to 0. Okay, this may happen during transmission. Okay, to make sure that data is received as it is being sent by the sender, we use this error detection mechanism. Okay, error detection is done by adding the parity bits. The parity added may be even parity or odd parity. If the parity used is even parity, a bit is added to the data to make the number of ones even. If odd parity is used, a bit is added to the data, 1 or 0 is added to the data, okay, to make the number of ones odd. Okay, example, if the data is 0, 1, 1, if even parity is used, already the number of ones are even, there are 2 ones, it is an even number. Okay, so as there are already 2 ones, the parity bit added may be 0. We don't need a 1 here. Okay, we don't need to add 1 because already there are even number of ones. But when odd parity is used, okay, if the parity used is odd, here we have even ones. To make it odd, here we add 1. Okay, so we will have 3 ones. Okay, so this way parity bits are added and transmitted. And at the receiver end, okay, the parity is checked. If odd parity is used, the number of ones received need to be odd. So the bit will be transmitted. If odd parity is used, the 011 will be transmitted as 0111. Okay, so the number of ones are odd. So it is, okay, the receiver assumes that the data received is correct. Okay, by if suppose this bit is changed to 0 instead of 1. Now the receiver, when the receiver checks the number of ones, it is 2. Okay, the number of ones are 2. It is not odd. So it is, no, the parity is, when the parity is used is odd, we have even number of ones. So the receiver finds that there is some error occurred. Okay, this way errors are detected. So this kind of error, okay, if the number of ones in the received data is not the correct parity, okay, that is recorded in the status register. So the CPU will understand that the data received is not correct. And framing error, right number of stop bits are not detected at the end of the received character. Okay, initially the number of stop bits used, everything is defined. So when it is received, it should be correct. Okay, but if the number of stop bits are not detected, then that error is called framing error. One start bit, the character bits, and the stop bit. Okay, 1 or 2, okay, as it is defined initially. But when the number of stop bits are not detected, the framing error occurs. That gets recorded in the status register. And overrun error. What is this? Overrun error is when the CPU does not read the character from the receiver register before the next one becomes available in the shift register. Okay, when the receiver register is full, means there is data, okay, that need to be read by the CPU. But if it is full and the status flag indicates that it is full, so CPU need to receive that, so that, okay, when the next data is available in the shift register, it can be transmitted to receiver register. But if it is not received, if the data that is already there in receiver register is not received by the CPU, okay, we call it as overrun error. Okay, because shift register now cannot move the data to receiver register. Okay, when shift register has to move it to receiver and it has to take the data from the other units. Okay, so as that cannot be done, this is overrun error. Okay, so these are the possible errors. The change of number of ones in the data. Okay, when the data is not in the correct parity used. And framing error, the right number of stop bits are not detected. Overrun error, when the CPU does not read the data from the receiver register, okay, before the next data is available in the shift register. Okay, so here we have learned about how this asynchronous serial transmission is done. For this serial transmission, in serial data transmission, the bits are transmitted in the same path. Okay, all the bits in the data uses a single common path. So when a single path is used, it has to be, the bits need to be transmitted one after the other in sequence. And as it is asynchronous transmission, the units work with different clocks, and to indicate the receiver, okay, here in serial transmission, special bits are inserted at both the ends of the character code. When the character is being sent, start and stop bits are added with the character code and being transmitted. So the start bit, it is always 0, that indicates the beginning of the character, and the character bits, the data bits are placed. Then the stop bit, okay, it is always 1. It may be a single 1 or 2 bits. So this is how the transmission is done. Okay, the character, here we have 8 character bits, 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1, and the start bit is added at the beginning. Okay, that indicates the beginning of the character. Okay, character bits. And at the end, after the last character bit, the stop bits are added. Means it is 1. So the line stays in one state for 1 bit or 2 bit time. Okay. So then after this, the next data is being transmitted. Next data again start with the start bit and the character bits and then the stop bits. Okay, stop bits, this time, okay, the time the data line stays in high state, okay, in one state with the use of the stop bits. Okay, it is the time the units, the sender and receiver unit take to resynchronize, okay, to get ready for the next transmission. So here the baud rate is the number of bits that are transmitted per second. Okay. We have seen the asynchronous communication interface. The transmitter register, it is used to transfer data from the CPU to the other units. And shift register shifts the data serially, okay, to the destination site. And control register stores the control byte that determines the mode of transmission. Okay, that means it defines the baud rate, then bits, the speed of transmission, okay, or the number of bits transmitted per second, and the total number of characters included in every data, okay, and the number of stop bits, okay, all these are defined by this control byte, okay, that is written in the control register. And status register gives the status of the flags. Give the flags in the status register give the status of the transmitter register and the receiver register. Okay, to show but if the registers are empty or full. Okay, when the transmitter register is empty, CPU can transmit data to transmitter register. When it is full, the CPU has to wait. Okay, because when it is full means it has data, it has to be transmitted to shift register. Okay, once it is transmitted to shift register, it is marked as empty. Okay, then CPU can transmit data into this. And receiver register to receive data. okay, for the CPU to receive data from the other units. And chip selectors to select the interface, register select the registers. Okay, it is used with the lines, control lines that indicates if the registers are used selected for reading or writing. Okay, so when a register is selected here, these two registers, transmitter and control registers, are used by the CPU to write information. When the data is being transmitted, it transmits it to transmitter register. Okay, it writes the data into transmitter register. And when the control byte, okay, to control the operation, CPU write the control byte in control register. And these two registers are used to read data. Okay, CPU read the status register to know the status of the registers and the operation that is performed. Okay, and CPU read the data from the receiver register, okay, to receive some data. So the operation is done as when the CPU has data to send, it first places the control word and then it checks the status register to check if the transmitter register is empty. If it finds it empty, it places the data. Okay, transmit data to through the data bus and to the transmitter register, and it is shifted then serially to the shift register. Okay, adding start and stop bits. And the receiver side, okay, when there is data to be received, it is received by the shift register, and the shift register removes the start and stop bits and transmit it to the receiver register. And the status flag is set to show that the receiver is full. When the receiver is full, CPU receives the data from the receiver register. Let me check the attendance. %551. 551 is not here. Okay, I will mark it.